Hi, my name is Caspian, and I went to my first ever Supernatural convention, and this is how it went. I should probably give some backstory. I got into Supernatural in like 2012, 2013, so it's been a while for me. And back then, I had no money, I had no opportunities to go to any conventions. Then, in over the course of a few years, I kind of fell out of love a little bit and rediscovered it in 2025 by showing it to my wife. So we watched the whole show, and I realized, like, oh, damn, I'm still really into Supernatural and had never gone to a convention. So obviously I did some research, and I also spent years and years on Twitter. I saw that there were conventions. I just never had the money or the opportunity to go. I found Purgatory Con, which is a convention in Germany. Apparently, Purgatory Con has been going on in Germany for 10 years. I went to the anniversary convention, which was Purgatory 10 in Dusseldorf in 2026. If you want to know more about Purgatory Con, I know that the organizers behind it are entertainment events, and that's pretty much all I know about it. I didn't do much research into it because there's very few conventions in Germany that actually feature any of the actors from Supernatural, so I just took my chances with this one. I want to start off with a disclaimer because this is a big debate in the fandom. I am a Sam fan. Sam is my favorite character in the show. I care very deeply about Sam Winchester. I would not consider myself a shipper. I do not care for Destiel. I'm sorry. And you should take this as the review of someone who's not into Destiel, because I think our enjoyment of the convention might have differed because I don't care about Destiel. I also firmly believe that shipping is completely fine. It should just be our own personal business. I write fanfic. I think it's completely fine to write fanfic. It's completely fine to do fan art. I still think that that's for us as a fandom, not the cast and crew. If you think that your ship is canon, good for you. Don't ask the actors to confirm or deny it. That's our business as a fandom. It's not their business. That's my opinion. I also want to mention this is no hatred towards any of the cast, any of the crew, any of the staff. Like, this is my review of Purgatory Con. It's my review of my experience as a first-time Supernatural Con goer. I've been to other conventions. I don't want any hate towards anyone. I don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm putting people on blast. I just want to give an honest review so people know what they're getting into. At the end of the day, just be kind to each other, be considerate. Like, remember that there's people behind this. And yeah, just be nice to each other. I first heard about it because I think I saw an Instagram post where they announced that Jared is coming to Germany, and I've been meaning to meet Jared for 13 years. I've just always wanted to, always keep fighting. Like, the campaign means so much to me and also like got me through my teenage years. I saw it and then I looked it up, and I think there was an Instagram caption that said that tickets would go on sale at a certain point. There is apparently a Facebook group, but I'm not really the target demographic for that, I think, and most of like younger generations are probably not on Facebook anymore. I would advise maybe joining that if you're actually interested in going, because you don't get much information on Instagram. And the website is very outdated. You can't really find much what you're looking for on the website either. So if you want to do some research, I would recommend Reddit, Facebook, asking other people who went to the convention. Ticket sales happened on Eventbrite, and I've never used it before, and I really struggled getting tickets. I had better tickets. There's different price categories, which I'm going to talk about later. But I had better tickets. I had them in my cart, and they just, whenever I tried to check out, it would tell me that they were now sold out. So they don't really reserve tickets for any certain amount of time. So I ended up just getting single day tickets for both Saturday and Sunday for my wife and I. The prices were a bit ridiculous. It was very expensive from my point of view. Like, to me, this is a lot of money. I will talk about money more in detail in a bit, but the entrance tickets, I already struggle with the prices. There were different categories, which because I'm not on Facebook, I didn't know what the categories entailed, and I don't think it's on the website. I might be wrong. So I struggled finding like the right ticket for what I wanted, and also dealing with the fact that I didn't know the prices in advance and being a bit shell shocked. I'm still paying this convention off, by the way. I don't have the income to just spend the money and be okay with it. I'm still paying things off. Yeah, I just, in general, it felt very intransparent. It would have been good to know like what would be the prices beforehand. It would have been good to know what do the categories entail. You can now for Purgatory 11 see that. I found that in the Facebook group. There is a screenshot that I'm gonna show you in a second, that entails like what package includes what the price for that package is, and so on. So yeah, considering I did not get to check out the tickets I wanted, I think I had like a silver ticket for a second and then tried to check it out and it was gone. And then I had standard tickets for a second in like category 4 or 5, and then went to check them out and that also didn't work out anymore. And then I ended up with the single day tickets because there was nothing else. Not the best. And then for the photo ops, I was also very stressed because I remembered the entrance ticket stress, but photo tickets actually, at least for Jared, was not difficult to achieve. I also know that most people go for Jensen or for Misha, so I can't speak on that because I only got a photo with Jared, and that was fine. I had no trouble achieving that. I do know that the J Square tickets sold out very, very quickly. I did not get those, but I also could not afford those. But yeah, so overall for ticket, I would give it, I don't know, a 2.5 out of 5. I've had better ticket sales. I've rarely had worse ones, but it was not a great experience. I think they improved with the more transparent pricing now, so it might go better in the future. This was another stressful point to me. This is also because I'm autistic and I want to know things in advance. And the program I think was released the week of the convention. I'm not from the area. It takes me quite a while to get there. And I knew this and I knew I had to figure out how to get myself to the convention. So I emailed the organizers and I was like, hey, can you give us starting times? Can you give us end times? Can you just give us any kind of information on when this event starts, just so people can plan a train trip or rent a car or something? I just need some information to go off on. And yeah, I never received a reply. I think I've emailed them 3 times, once about the tickets and twice about the program, and just no reply whatsoever. I also know that comments on some of the Instagram announcement posts were just taken off. You can comment anymore. So it was a bit stressful to figure out the program and when to be there. In the future, I think it would be really helpful to be like, hey, this is when the earliest panel could be starting, and this is definitely the longest it has run in the past. I think that would help people plan their trips a bit better. I know a lot of people stay over the weekend because it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday convention. I didn't. I only attended on Saturday, so I really needed to know. I rented a car. I needed to know when does it like officially end and when does it officially start. So in the future, if they could communicate that, and also just in general communicate, answer to emails, would really help. So this is a 1 out of 5 for me. I am really disappointed in the program, the communication beforehand. It was Saturday, the 23rd of May, and I rented a car to get there, and it takes me around 3 hours to drive there, which I did. And since I didn't have the program on time, and since it takes me 3 hours to get there, I missed the opening ceremony, which is completely fine. I also read from a bunch of people that the opening ceremony isn't that important. It's, you can miss it. It's really not a big deal. So I missed that one. And then when the program finally arrived, I saw that the J Square panel, which was happening early in the day, was VIP access only. So you had to buy tickets, which were 35 euros if you bought them in advance, but they were sold out in advance. And then you can still buy them on site, which would have been 50 euros per person. So we decided not to do that because that's an extra 100 bucks. And then on the same day, we had the panel with Mark and Ruth. That one we missed because of traffic. Like, that's no one's fault. Technically, we left early enough, but you know, you can just never determine this. And the registration is only or was only open until 2. So we had to get the registration sorted, and then we just missed the panel. So that's okay. We knew this. And then there was a panel later with Jared and Samantha. That one we technically would have made, but more to that later. So for registration, you entered the hotel, which is a conference hotel, and then you go up some stairs, and then to the right, there's a registration desk. There is paper signs on top that tell you which lane to go into. However, there was no registration desk for single day tickets. There was just standard, silver, gold, VIP. And we just got in line for standard, but that didn't seem to be a problem because, again, there was no signage for just single day. It went by pretty okay. Like, it didn't take that long. It was also because we arrived in the afternoon instead of in the morning. I've read that a bunch of people waited in line very long. I didn't. We waited, like, we had 2 people in front of us. It was completely fine. Again, this might be due to our arrival time. Staff were very nice. They were knowledgeable as far as I know. They gave us our lanyard, which you put your name into, and then they give you any like photo or autograph tickets you bought. Unfortunately, I received the wrong photo ticket. I got a Sunday photo ticket with Jared instead of a Saturday one, which I didn't realize because, again, you just get handed like 2 tickets. And then there's the stress of there's people behind us. Like, just as it was our turn, people were starting to queue up again. Like, before it was empty, and I didn't want to take up any more time. So we stepped aside, and then I just put my tickets with the photo ticket in the front and the autograph ticket in the back. I put them in my lanyard, and then I didn't check my autograph ticket, which said Sunday, which is a little print in the bottom right that says Sunday. That would be a problem for future me. Again, didn't realize I should have checked, but also would have been great if that hadn't happened. Again, I don't blame the people. There's so much going on. I should have checked. But yeah, that happened. So if you go and buy tickets, check what day they're for. Just check while you're in line, or check after and come back to switch it out again, because this could cause trouble. But yeah, you receive your lanyard where you put your name on it. You received a physical map of the venue, and you receive a physical copy of the program. You also get an envelope that you could put your photo op pictures in, like it fits the pictures. Overall, I would give the registration process like a 4 out of 5. It was okay. We didn't have to wait long. I wish it would have perfectly worked out, but you can't always get what you want. Again, staff were friendly. The person I talked to was also like, oh, it's so rare that people just get like Jared autos and Jared photos, because most of the people aren't here for Jared. And I was like, okay, interesting information bit, but yeah, it was a pleasant experience, I think. After registration, you are just kind of in the hotel. It can be very overwhelming. There's no clear signage. Obviously, the convention is just one of the things happening at the hotel. There's just regular people staying there. There might be other conferences. So you really have to go up to the certain rooms, and then there's a digital display that says what kind of room it is, and then you can double check with your program, or you can double check with your map to find out what is happening in the room. There is no timetables. Like, if you think about, a lot of conventions have a timetable on the digital display next to the room that says, oh, this is what is happening in this room at this time. This is not the case. You need to keep an eye on your own schedule. You need to figure out where you want to go. You need to be there on time, and you need to figure out where to go. There is, I think, more than one way to go upstairs. However, upstairs area is a bit hard to get through because there's a bridge where people are already kind of queuing for their photo ops. and it's very narrow. And this is also the bridge that a lot of the actors just keep crossing, where security will then yell at you to go and like move out of the way. And then security will also yell out like what photo op is coming up and what ticket holders are supposed to be there. So crossing the bridge, pretty difficult if there is a photo op happening. You need to cross the bridge to get to the shop. You need to cross it back if you want to go downstairs again, and also reach the photo op areas. Unfortunately for me, the vibes were not great. I didn't have a warm feeling that some conventions have. I didn't feel like it was very community based. I had like one or two nicer chats while being in line with people, but those were always within the same category. I think there's a bonding happening in people in the lowest price category, kind of. That was like the only conversation I had with people, was just waiting in line and like talking a bit about how things are going. It didn't feel like a very welcoming spot if you hadn't been there before. It didn't feel like a very welcoming spot if you weren't there with someone who had already been. I think for new people, and especially for people traveling alone, it can be a lot. If you easily make friends, that's great. I'm not that type of person. I'm a bit slow to just go up to people and talk to them. And I just struggle with that. So for me, it wasn't that great. I also sometimes got like slightly hostile vibes from people at the panels. I also felt like if you don't ship STL, maybe this isn't the convention for you. I have my own like struggle with like shipping discourse in the fandom, and I think it's completely fine to ship. I ship plenty of things, just not in this fandom. I read that people describe it as a con that is mainly for people who ship STL, and I think you could also tell with how busy certain photo ops were as opposed to others. Again, not a shipper, cannot really accurately comment on this. If you shipped STL, maybe you would have a great time. Maybe you would cling to people very well. Maybe you would meet people very easily. I didn't. That, again, my experience might not align with yours. I will say that a lot of the time, the different ticket categories, the different price categories, made people give it gave people a sense of entitlement that I don't appreciate. Where it was like, oh, like you guys have to move because we're VIP, and it's like we're just in a room. We were with autographs. We were all just kind of randomly standing around, and people kept being like, "No, we need to be ahead. We need to go ahead." And it's like, okay, yeah, but we're just standing here. We're not queuing. Staff will call your name, and you will get earlier access than the rest of us. I just think announcing that again and again to people who don't care or have like not queuing is not helpful and gives this sense of entitlement that I just simply didn't appreciate. So for vibes, I would give this a 2 out of 5. There were no real areas where you could just sit down to hang out with people because it was just like walking or queuing. That was the only activities, or just sitting at a panel. But unless you're waiting for the guests to show up, you also should not be talking because there's people on stage talking. So yeah, I 2 out of 5 vibes wise. So you cross the bridge and then you enter the shop area, which I think had like 5 vendors. There was a tattoo artist there, which is really cool. They gave out slots, like time slots at certain times, and then you could book one of those slots. We couldn't because it just didn't align with our schedule, and that's okay. It's a cool opportunity to have a tattoo artist there. I think it's very nice. And they also seemed really, really nice. They had some flashes out. If you want to get a tattoo, if they're coming back next year or for the Halloween event, I think bring cash, or they also take PayPal, but usually tattoos are cash. So just know they start at $100 and you should have cash ideally. Also, it's always nice to tip your tattoo artist. My biggest issues with the merch area was the fact that it was all very the same, but there was also, and this is my biggest issue, Harry Potter merch in 2026. We all know that J.K. Rowling is problematic on more levels than one. And this is a supernatural convention. I understand why at regular conventions there's still a Harry Potter merch, but this is a supernatural only convention that had merch tables that had Harry Potter merch. So this is one of my personal issues. Another thing was the print quality. I saw a few shirts where the print was just kind of wonky, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of love put into it, because it wasn't. I think there was like one artist table. The rest seemed to be. Another huge thing for me is AI. I think AI has no space in fandom spaces. I will not buy your AI merch. If I buy merch, I want to know that someone put some thought into it. Ideally, I want to buy from another fan who understands the emotional impact. If I cannot buy from another fan, I will look for things that are aesthetically pleasing or that actually connect to the show that I'm interested in. If you use AI slop to put on a t-shirt, or if you put it on a coaster or a Stanley Cup or whatever, I'm not interested in buying your stuff. And then a lot of them had like mystery bags or mystery boxes, but you had AI slop at your booth, and I will not buy your mystery box because the risk of getting something AI generated is too high. I'm sorry, there's plenty of like also like vintage designs for shirts that have been going around way before AI became a thing. There is merch you can sell that isn't AI generated. A lot of it was. I don't care for that. I also saw that one of the stands, one of the vendors sold pride flags, and the lesbian flag was the lipstick lesbian flag. If you're wondering why that is problematic, so all in all, the merch area for me gets a 0 out of 5. I was looking forward to it because we had a lot of downtime. So I was like, oh, maybe we get to like look around, find some interesting things. Unfortunately, it was all kind of the same. I think we also arrived when the more interesting items were already sold out, and it was just a lot of the same and a lot of AI, and I just cannot support that. I do not want to support that. Again, that's my opinion. I also just am strongly against AI, in case you hadn't known. I'm going to be fully transparent here with what I paid for the convention. I already mentioned that I'm still paying this off. I just want to give people an insight. This is not money I would usually spend on things. This really, for me, was a once in a lifetime experience. And I'm not shaming people who spent more money than me. I'm not shaming people who choose not to spend that money. Again, I'm communicating what I spent. I'm saying I did this because I have such a huge soft spot for Supernatural, and it was so, so important to me growing up. And especially Jared, I owe a lot. So I really wanted to meet him at least once in my life. And this is why I spent the money that I spent. I wouldn't do it again because I simply financially cannot do that. So, entry tickets. They came in categories. I think there was VIP, which is the most expensive category. There is a gold ticket, a silver ticket, there's a premium ticket, and then following are standard tickets, sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then you have single day attendance for Saturday and single day attendance for Sunday. I don't know if there were Friday tickets too. I said I bought single day tickets for Saturday twice and for Sunday twice. I ended up reselling the Sunday tickets for the original price, or slightly less, I think. In retrospect, I was like, I cannot afford to do it. I originally bought them for both days because I didn't know if there were going to be photo ops with all guests on both days. So I was like, okay, I'll get both days. I'll attend one. I'll sell the other two. Selling tickets, a bit of a hassle. I did over eBay, and it was slightly difficult because I know people are very worried about scammers, and I obviously want to affirm people, but I couldn't change the ticket name because I bought all 4 tickets at once. So just be aware, if you buy 4 tickets, all 4 tickets are going to be on your name, and if you change the name on the ticket, it will change it for all 4 of them. I have emailed people about this, and I have been like, hey, can I change the Sunday tickets, please? Because I want to sell them to people and I want them to feel safe that they don't have my name on the ticket. You cannot do that. The ticket name doesn't matter when you scan the QR code for registration, but it just makes people, like buyers, feel more safe. So be aware, if you want to buy tickets individually, just do Saturday first and then do Sunday extra. Again, a bit messy. I spent 356 euros on all 4 days, which makes a single day admission ticket 89 euros. That is pretty steep, I will say. What you get access to with a single day admission ticket is panels that aren't paywalled, like the VIP panel with Jared and Jensen was paywalled, so you don't have access to that unless you spend the extra 50 bucks. And you get access to technically just buy photo ops or buy autographs. So that's all you get. If you want extras, you need to buy the extras. I will just give you this image. And as you can see, this now for Purgatory 11 shows you the price categories. It shows you what you get with each category. So I'm just going to leave this here for a second so you can look at it. You can also find this on Facebook, and this will give you a good overview of what you will get in the different categories. Let's talk about photo ops. I had one photo op with Jared on Saturday, which cost me 235 euros in pre-access. On the day of the convention, I think it was 250 if it wasn't sold out. It was sold out for some of the guests and some of the combination guests. I found that very high. I think I spent £80 on meeting David Tennant, but that was in 2017, so way back then. But it was David Tennant versus Jared, so huge price difference. I also know that other conventions are cheaper. Purgatory Con is pricey. I don't know how it is in the US. I don't know how it is in other European countries. I just know that I found 220, 250 quite expensive. If you wanted a J Square op, I think, no, the J Square with Misha op was 615, which I couldn't afford. And I think the Impala one was kind of the same price. Like you could get Jared Jensen and an Impala. The pictures turn out pretty nice. You could get Jared Jensen and the Impala, or you could just get Jensen and the Impala. There was no option to get Jared and the Impala only, and there was also no option to get Misha with the Impala. But yeah, I think that was like 615. Again, could not afford that, did not do that. So yeah, here is a list of all the ticket prices for photo ops on the day of the convention. They might have been cheaper in pre-access. Now let's talk about autographs. I only got the Jared autograph because the autograph prices were also very, very high. I paid 208 euros for a Jared autograph in pre-access. I think on the day it would have been 220 euros. Jensen's the same price. Misha costs half of that, and the other guests cost slightly less. So if you're going for some of the extras, or if you're going for people that aren't the main the duo, or just or Misha or Mark, you will pay less. What your autograph gets you is you queue up and then you do actually get to talk to them just a little bit. It's still very short. It's a short interaction, but for me it was a very nice interaction. I was very lucky. My photo op went great. My autograph session was really great, and Jared is he's kind, even though people, like, the timings overran so much. He took so much time to actually engage with people, and his line moved so slowly. But it was fine because you knew that he was just engaging with people and being nice, even though it was already way later than they said they would be there. Anyway, here's a list of all the autograph ticket prices that you could have gotten on the day. Again, some sell out, so if you want to get on the day autographs or photo ops, you might need to be there earlier than I was. Another thing that you could do is a meet and greet. I did not do that. And I didn't do that because it was 1,100 euros to do the meet and greet with J Square or with Misha, I think. No, J Square was 1,100 and Jensen Misha was 1,100. So I didn't do that. But as far as I understand, even if you have a VIP ticket, you would still need to pay this for the meet and greet. I might be wrong about that, but as far as I understand, you do not have access to the specific meet and greets. What you have access to with a VIP ticket is a meet and greet with all the regular guests, not the special guests. I think Jared and Jensen definitely count as special guests. Here's meet and greet prices from the day of the convention. I want to mention I paid less admission, I paid less for a photo op, I paid less for an autograph at a UK Comic Con, and a Comic Con, as opposed to a specific fandom convention, will offer you a more diverse panel of stars, of activities, of merchandise. Just something to think about. The prices are a bit high for something so very specific. So I paid 532 euros for just con activities, photo op, autograph, entrance fee, just for myself. And then I paid the 89 euros for my wife in admission. She didn't actually participate in any of the other activities. She went to one panel that I couldn't go to because I was queuing for my photo op. So that was 621 euros. And then we both had a salad each for 10 euros each because there were limited options to get food because all of the restaurants and the hotel open later. So there was a salad bar and there was a sandwich bar, I think, upstairs, or like sushi as well, and some coffee places. We then also got a coffee, an iced coffee from a vending machine because there were no iced coffees at the venue. If it's warm outside, bring cold drinks with you. There weren't that many cold options. And again, if you like to be caffeinated, the vending machines are your best bet. There is no iced coffee at any of the vendors. So those were 350 each. And then I also paid 38 euros for parking all day because it is an airport hotel. So you will have to pay airport hotel parking prices. This might not feel like a lot of money to some people, but it is to me. And I spent it because it took me 13 years to get here and I wanted to see them. Well, I wanted to see at least one of them. It was very hard not to choose not to also get a photo with Jensen or get his autograph. But again, you need to make financial decisions that don't leave you broke. So yeah, prices for me, 0 out of 5. I do think it's a tall ask. I don't know why it's this much. They might have their reason. I really hope staff was compensated fairly, but it is expensive. If you really want to meet them and you have the chance to travel, it might even be cheaper to actually travel to see them. If you're in the EU, it's always hard to meet Jared in the EU, I feel like. It's a little easier to get Jensen or Misha, but I think it's quite difficult to get Jared in the EU sometimes. So that's also why it took me so long. Again, 0 out of 5 for cost for me. It was too expensive. I cannot do this. Again, it would just not be financially feasible. I missed all the panels. Again, I mentioned that we arrived late, so we missed the opening ceremony and then the J Square panel. I just couldn't afford to spend another $100, so we missed that one. And then Ruth and Mark we missed due to traffic. And then there was the Jared and Samantha panel. That one we sat down in and it was delayed. And I knew I was going to go up to queue for pictures, which, by the way, if you are in the lowest price category, you do not need to do that. It's just not worth it. Just go up whenever, but don't queue in advance. It will not get you done faster. It will not move you up. You will just stand there and that's it. Jared and Samantha panel was delayed because I think Jared's meet and greet ran over. And then my wife stayed for the Jared Samantha panel and I went up to queue for my picture. So I missed that one. And then the Sachin panel was also during the Jared photo ops, and the Jensen Misha panel was also still during the Jared photo ops. So I missed all of the panels. If you think about it, I spent entrance fee only to spend more money to do autograph and photo op. So not great. 0 out of 5 for me. The photo ops. I mean, I already talked about the costs. I will not talk about the costs anymore in terms of like just program points. The photo ops, I think, were at least the Jared one was great. He felt very warm. He was joking around. He was sweet and kind. When I walked up to him, he complimented my shirt, and then I was just so starstruck. I just took a moment where he looked at me and was like, "So what do you think?" And I was like, "Oh wait, the pose, the pose. I need to talk about the pose." If you have a pose that you want to do, you need to print a picture and bring it with you because you are not allowed to have your phone with you. You put your bag on a table and then you move up, and the only thing you have with you is your photo ticket, and that's it. And then yeah, he was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Oh, pose." And then I asked for a hug from behind, which he was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then he positioned like my arms, and then the photographer was also like gesturing, and I didn't know what she meant. And he understood, and he moved like my hair out of my face, which very sweet. I didn't realize that that was what the photographer was trying to tell us. And I think my picture turned out very well. I really, really like it. As far as photo ops go, it was amazing. Sure, it is a very short amount of time and you spend a lot of money, but they all felt nice. I like the picture quality. The picture printing process was horrible because it like all of the earlier ones took so much longer, and then you had to go and queue for autographs already. So I couldn't pick my picture up, so I couldn't get my picture signed. So just be aware if you have single day attendance, your Jared photo op at least would be in the evening, which it was for me. And then since it ran into the time when autographs would have already started. So something to consider. Again, I had a great time. This is my picture. And the autographs themselves, again, the Jared line moved slowly because he talked to everyone. He was nice. When I walked up, he was like, "Oh, how did that picture turn out?" And I was like, "Oh, I really like it. I just couldn't get it in time." And then he also was like, "Hey, can I do something?" Because I want Always Keep Fighting shirt. He also like wrote Always Keep Fighting on, I got a tarot book signed. So he wrote it on there. And then I did what I wanted to do. I told him like, "Hey, I'm here because of you still. I've waited 13 years to tell you." And then like we like held hands briefly, and then he's just really sweet and kind, and he looks at you while you're talking, and it doesn't feel like it's a chore. He makes people feel very welcome. At least he did for me. It was very special. It meant a lot to me. I think this was an absolute highlight for me. When you're in line for autographs, once you're in the room, you are not allowed to take your phone out. Well, you can. I don't know if you can take your phone out. You're just not allowed to take any pictures. You're not allowed to take any videos. Security will be on your case. You're not allowed to take pictures, film your interaction or anything. Just be aware of that. Ideally, have your item ready. If you want to bring pens, if you want to get a t-shirt signed, you should bring textile pens yourself. I also just brought my own pen because I knew my background was pretty dark and I didn't want the color to just disappear in it, so I brought my own pen. And yeah, just be aware that they might keep on like holding on to your pen, so you just gotta remind them to give you your pen back as well. As for the guests, the convention that I attended, Purgatory Con, had Jared, Jensen, Misha, Ruth, Mark, Samantha, Sachin. I think that's all of them. And I know I only paid for a photo op with Jared, and I only paid for an autograph with Jared, but I got to see all of them. I saw Samantha said goodbye to Jared during the autograph section. Like while I was getting my autograph, she like went in from the side and was like, "Oh, I'm just saying goodbye," and they gave each other like a little kiss and stuff. And then she was like, "Oh my God, I'm crashing your autograph thing," and I was like, "No, that's so fine, so good, love to see her." Ruth like waved goodbye to everyone for the autograph section. Mark walked past us multiple times and smiled. Misha walked past us like 3 times. Jensen walked past us twice. And it is very close and people behaved. I think this is a good like a very good thing is people did not like scream, freak out, hold camera phones in their faces or anything. People were just chill and mostly very nice. At least for the people that I saw. They went a bit more feral when Misha walked past, but for most of the others, it was nice. I think when Jared walked in for his photo op, he also high-fived some people. People were kind. I like that. So yeah, I got to see everyone, despite not attending any panels, just by the fact that they just walked past you, maybe. Let's talk about organization and price categories. I was very unhappy with that. I mentioned that I never received any email answers again, which makes it really hard to plan. I also find it for like someone who's neurodivergent who really just needs some form of information beforehand, I find it very difficult. This is also the reason why I'm doing this video. If I can help any of you feel more safe or more secure in attending this convention, maybe good. If you have any questions, let me know. If I can answer them, I would love to help. I would have loved to have more information. I also maybe should have just researched better, but I was just already driving myself crazy. So yeah, they never answered to any of my emails. The signage was just bad. It was really hard to find where you were supposed to go. And I think this is a big thing for me. At least on Saturday, there were no different lines to queue for different price categories. If you have a very rigid sense of, oh, this category gets to go in first, there should be options to queue accordingly. However, on Saturday, it was mostly that people were waiting on the bridge, and then the security people would walk up and be like, okay, Jensen photo op VIP, and would yell it out. And they would also mostly do that in German. That doesn't work at a convention where international people attend. They rarely switch to English to announce it, and then people misheard, and it wasn't repeated often enough, which could have been solved by signs. I also didn't know that for the program point, it said, I think, VIP slash standard slash single day, the one that I queued for Jared. And I didn't know that we would still be following the categories, which is why I went up to queue. You don't need to do that. They will follow the categories. They will call up standard sections 1 to 7 before they will call up single day admission. Standing there early will do you no favors. You will just stand. I waited for 3 hours because I didn't know. So yeah, it is incredibly strict. And if you, there is a WhatsApp channel where they sometimes communicate things like, oh, last call for this photo op, or this panel will be delayed. If you don't follow the WhatsApp channel, good luck. You will not really know stuff. There's no announcements because, again, it's a shared space. It's a conference hotel that isn't just for this convention. The panels, I think, had billboards that had like a little strip that would sometimes inform you over things, but it's best to follow the WhatsApp channel or the Facebook group, but the Facebook group also doesn't do that much on like organization. And on Instagram, nothing. You will get some pictures from people, but that's it. There's no real like information on where things are happening. It is best to follow the WhatsApp channel. This also is my biggest problem with like single day attendance tickets. It wasn't even my fault for getting single day attendance only. Again, I had issues with the shopping cart. It would not reserve your tickets for the checkout time. And then you just get treated really badly. It's just people look past you. You have your little wristband that has a color. You're literally color coded. And you just keep getting shoved around for autographs. We were just put in a big polk. And it's like, we also stood there for like an hour at least. And people just kept pushing in front of us because we weren't looking out for each other. If you see a queue, can you just go to the back of the queue of your category? You need to follow the categories, unfortunately, even though information that was floating around was also very confusing because many people were like, oh, for autographs, it doesn't matter what category you're in. I saw people who like cut in line in front of their own categories who got in much quicker and then got out much quicker. And it's like, we could make this all more efficient. We could have different queues. We could have a queue that is just VIP, gold, silver, premium. We could have a queue with like just standard sections, and we could have had one for single day admission, or just an area where people of that price category could wait instead of having volunteers or staff run around the hall and yell out the categories, because that's not good for them. It was very hot and they just had to keep yelling. And I also didn't really see much of a like seating area for volunteers or staff. Again, I don't know if they get paid. I don't know if they volunteer, but they just had to stand the entire time and then walk around and yell sections or categories. And it just, I felt very bad for them. And I also was very annoyed with how inefficient this was. Like, queuing is not that difficult, but it was made really difficult. The amount of different categories is another thing that really bothers me. I understand like VIP experience. I think we do that a lot. We do that with conventions or we do that with concerts. And I think, sure, some people have a lot of money or have more money and they can afford to do that, or some choose to splurge and do it. However, if you do that many sections and that many categories, it's a bit too many. I don't think standard needed sections 1 to 7 and then we still needed single day admission. I think having VIP, gold, silver, premium, and then all of the standard sections is just a bit much. And what standard section differences give you is a bit better seating at a panel. And I think if you are single day attendance, you will have a worse seat at the panel. You will have to wait all day for things. You will still get to take your pictures. You will still get your autograph. You don't need to worry about that. Or at least I didn't have to worry about it. I worried about it and I talked to someone else like, hey, it said that Jared and Jensen are only signing until like 6:50 in the evening, I think. But since Jared's photo op was also so delayed, they said like, no, they're signing until the line is done. You will still get your stuff, but it doesn't feel very welcoming. You just keep getting pushed around. And I think the worst part is how other sections treat you. It's not so much the staff. It's very much also just other people being like, oh, no, they're very keen on announcing that they are in a better section. And it's like, that's good for you, but we are still people. I don't know. I don't like how many subsections there are. I don't like how people get treated that much differently. And at the end of the day, there's not that much of a difference between standard section 5 and single day admission, except standard gets a weekend ticket, which is also what I tried to do, but simply couldn't nail down, so. Okay, I'm calling this category like other, because it's just other things that I couldn't find a little header for. There was not enough seating. There's enough seating in the panel rooms, but if you're waiting around, a lot of the time we just went outside and sat outside in the shade somewhere because you can't really sit inside. And I think if you have a lot of people waiting and you also, if you don't have any program or you have very little merch booths, you need to offer seating. It was warm. And also for your volunteers and your staff, you need to have seating. They was on their feet all day. I really hope everyone stayed hydrated. I hope they got to take breaks and everything, but the lack of seating was really hard. And then for the bridge part, you also couldn't sit down on the ground because you would block the way. And a lot of people kept standing on the stairs. Do not stand on the stairs. You need to come up and wait on the bridge, or you need to wait downstairs. You cannot block off the stairs. That is just a fire hazard. The communication was lackluster often. Even with the WhatsApp channel that I followed, I didn't get all the updates as quickly as asking someone would get you an update. And also the staff didn't always know what was going on. I asked like 3 people for help and they always just kind of, if they don't know how to help you, at least in my experiences, they just kind of trailed off and then try to not make eye contact with you anymore. That happened to me 3 times. So I was like, hey, I have a deadline. I need to be back by a certain time because I have a rented car. I have a single day admission and we're waiting here. This is another thing. Single day admission tickets should not be that late in the evening. I know that you want to give your VIP and standard and gold people pre-access, and my light just died. You want to give them pre-access, and I get that. However, you need to think about the fact that a lot of the single day people also just leave in the evening, and they need to make buses, they need to make trains, they need to be home by a certain time. And if you put our photo op opportunity at like 5, and then you need an hour and a half to print the pictures still, and there's another program point like autographs late in the evening, and single day tickets are always at the latest point for that, people will not make their trains home, and you will have people coming up to you and being like, hey, can I do something? I need to get home. I need to make a train or something. That is a problem. That is something to keep in mind, that maybe you need to have a separate section just for single day tickets that might be slightly earlier, but just single day tickets or something. I'm not gonna figure this out. I'm also not working there. I'm not one of the staff, but this is just something to think about. We need to get home. Security is a huge issue. There were no bag checks. This was a fairly big event. I think it said that tickets were limited to 1,500. So that's 1,500 people whose bags were not checked. In this current climate, political climate, and also just in this time, I think bag checks are kind of mandatory, at least for conventions. Cosplay conventions even do it. I saw people with prop guns that didn't have a sticker that said prop. That is risky. Having no bag checks is risky. And the fact of the matter is that people took their bags to the venue, to the panels. They took them to the photo ops, even though they left them on a table, but in the room. And then they also took them with themselves to the autographs. This is a risk both to other con goers, but it's also a risk to the guests. You don't know that everyone has good intentions, and it's just dangerous. And especially with the prop guns, I would have wished they could have gotten like a little sticker or something. For cosplay conventions, we often do like a little bit of string and a bit of wax. You can easily take it off again, and you could also take it off before the photo op and then put it back on. But you can't just let people run around with there's not even a list of like prohibited items, because you can just take whatever you want with you. And I find that dangerous in a huge pool of people. We want to assume that everyone has good intentions, but we can't. And I don't think 89 euros as an entrance fee is stopping a lot of people who actually want to do harm. I think bag checks need to happen, and I think there should be a list of things that aren't prohibited within at least the panel rooms or the photo op rooms or something. I know it takes more people then, but you gotta make sure that your guests are safe. You gotta make sure that the other con goers are safe. I already mentioned a lot of the announcements were in German. A lot of the time the staff was talking in German, and people who did not understand German really struggled. And I think you need to be aware that international people are coming. This is an airport convention, airport hotel convention. This is very convenient for people who want to just fly in and attend, but they also need to be addressed at least in English. They need to know what's going on too. Another thing to keep in mind if you're attending, there is a strict no filming rule for everything, basically. You can't film in the panels, you cannot film the photo ops, you cannot film the autographs, you cannot take pictures during the photo ops, and you cannot take pictures during the autographs. You are allowed to take pictures during the panels, but again, no videos. So they're all very, it's exclusive to be there. Be aware, yeah, I don't know. It's a rule. Keep it in mind. If you see convention videos, know that technically it was prohibited. But yeah. So for my closing thoughts, my summary, I think personally I'm not gonna attend again. It was too expensive for me. Again, if you can afford this, I cannot do this. This was a once in a lifetime thing, and I understand if people want to do this once in a lifetime. I also understand if you just want to go. I also understand if you have friends there and you want to meet friends. That's amazing. It wasn't for me. I think the amount of different price categories just felt so capitalist. The whole thing just felt so money driven, and I don't like fandom space. I like the fandom space for engaging with people or meeting people and like talking about things, and I didn't have a good experience in that way. And I know I make my own experiences too. However, it puts a damper on the day if it's organized pretty messily, and then money plays such a big role. I don't want to talk about money all the time. I'm just very aware of it because I come from poverty. So it felt like, oh, if you have money, you deserve a great experience. If you don't, screw you. And I can't align with that. Again, I'm not judging if you are going to the con. I'm not judging if you're having a good time. I'm not judging if you spend a lot of money. I just think it should also be at least a decent experience for people who do not have money. And that's just, again, my opinion. And I also like to align myself with people who also think that people with less income deserve to have a good time. And then another thing is, for the amount of money you spend, the organization was just not tight enough. I think I mentioned that I got the wrong autograph ticket. I got it for Sunday. I talked to 3 different people who then sent me to other people, and every single one of them vanished. And not like, no one solved my problem. And I know that there's so many people coming up to you, and I'm not blaming any of them. It's just, if all of you just abandon me, what am I supposed to do? And then at the end of the day, my problem was solved with, oh, are you attending tomorrow as well? And I was like, no, I have a single day ticket. I'm not from here. I'm not staying here. And then they were like, oh, yeah, then just go in. But I waited aside, and I waited even longer than for my autograph because I had to move aside and everyone got to go in front of me, just because no one wanted to make the executive decision to just let me in. Miscommunication, not great at organization, and also the lack of transparency, the lack of reaching out to people or talking to people. I saw Reddit posts from people being blocked for asking questions, or the fact that no one replies to your emails. It's a lot of money that people are spending on this, and then you need to be transparent. You need to at least reach out a little bit to people. All right, another thing is that, again, a lot of the guests don't come to Germany that much, and if you are in the general German area and you want to meet them, I think, yeah, I understand. I did. I wanted to go, and I went out of my way. I drove 6 hours in one day just to see them. I'd say go for it. Do it well informed. Don't just go in blind-eyed, because then you might struggle and you might not have a good time. Another thing I want to say is that people should be more aware of other people. That is not just for Purgatory Con. This is for a lot of things. It does not cost anything to be nice to people. You can just be nice. It really doesn't take that much. And that also includes looking out for other people. If you see that someone is smaller than you, let them go in front for like things where you could be blocking the view. If you see that someone has been standing in line and waiting and you're in the same price category, maybe don't cut in line. In general, maybe don't cut in line. I think, I get it's frustrating. I know I was in the lowest category. At the end of the day, everyone else is waiting too, and I don't want to make everyone's experience worse too. So I will just go to the back of the line. Like, even for the autographs where I was very, very far in front, once they said that it wasn't general access, I moved to the back of the line that had formed since I was already waiting in the very front, because otherwise I would have cut in line. And if you have any reason why you might need to go earlier, you can just talk to people. Like, just be considerate, be nice to each other. Again, this goes for everything. Be considerate and be nice to each other. It is about community. It's not about your own self all the time. I thought this was the end goal of fandom, is community. I hold like the memories of my autograph session, and I also hold the memories of my photo op very dearly. They mean a lot to me. I had such a good time. I just wish that everything surrounding it wouldn't have been so lackluster. I'm really sad about the VIP panel thing. I think paywalling the only J Square panel, I don't know if there was another one on Sunday, but at least on Saturday, putting a paywall on that is rough. Like, we are already, what are we paying the entrance fee for if everything gets paywalled? I know there's a karaoke event too, which also costs extra. Like, there's special events, and like, obviously the guests need to be compensated and the staff needs to be compensated, but you don't need to paywall everything, especially when ticket prices are high, when autograph prices are high, when photo ops are priced very highly. It's rough. It doesn't feel like community. It feels like an elaborate plan to extract money out of people. I also haven't seen that much criticism online about the convention. I know that some people have mentioned that they had issues with something, and every time they mentioned it, people just piled on them in the comments, and I wish we could just not do that. I think it is completely fair that people have differing opinions of things. And again, I'm not saying you cannot have liked this convention. I'm happy if you did. I'm happy if you had a great time. I just think that it's okay that people talk about their opinions and how they wish that certain things would have been improved. And we can only really improve things if we offer criticism. So this is an invitation to share constructive criticism and be nice to each other and not just insult people who had a different experience from you. Again, I'm pretty sure people had a great experience that won me. I had a great experience at the photo ops. I had a great experience at the autograph. Everything else I didn't like. And that's okay because I didn't like it. You might have liked it. We have differing opinions because we are different people. So at the end of the day, please do not come for me. Please do not come for any of the people involved with this convention. Again, I don't want to say that people do a horrible job. I think there's definite areas of improvement, like the communication, the transparency, that could all be improved. And I'm still saying that some people earn less money, but they still deserve to have fun. And I don't think this is something that we need to argue on. So yeah, if you want to talk about your experience, if you want to tell me that you had a great time, please feel free to. I love to see everyone's photo ops. I love to see people being happy. Amazing. If you have other gripes with the convention that I haven't touched upon, if you want to talk about the Sunday or the Friday of the convention, if you've been going for 10 years and you're a veteran and you have some insight on how it changed over the years, I'm very interested to hear. Just let me know in the comments. Again, if you have any more questions, let me know. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram as Cass and Camera or Cass Capture. And I hope you have a pleasant day and see you soon.